Hello 3D printing enthusiasts. This is the first, well, it's about to be the first batch of actual minifigures that I've printed with this new Sonic Mighty 4K from Frozen. I've made a bunch of videos showing the setup, the unboxing, the putting the screen protector on, the leveling the plate, adding the thermometer to the front of the vat, stuff like that, and then doing test prints to get verification cards to get the numbers dialed in. I will post the numbers that I have for this. For the resin that I'm using, as I mentioned in other videos, I'm using Tech Fast Gray, but then I add in 150 milliliters of Tech Tenacious. Tech Tenacious is the more expensive, clear, it's a harder but more flexible, more robust resin. So I mixed it in with the Tech Fast, just 150 milliliters, like, because people say add 15%, but I don't want to take any out. So it's basically 1,000 milliliters, and then there's enough room. There's probably 200 milliliters room. I put 150 milliliters, and that looks like 1.5 of these cups. This is 100 milliliters, and that's 50. So I put that resin in there. I shake it up very good. Actually, I put it in, I shake it for like 2 or 3 minutes, and I let it sit. Then I shake it again before I add it to the printer. But I'll post links to the resins on the description, video description. And also, I will post the settings that I got for this printer. I did the verification cards. The best number I saw, and this is just at the 0.05 millimeter level layers. I haven't gone down lower. I'll go down to 4, maybe even 3, probably just down to 4, because I'm getting really good results, at least on the verification cards. We'll see right now in the figures how they do. But I'll post a screenshot of those or a link to that in the show descriptions. I'll also post a link to the 2 files I printed. You're gonna see right now I printed some Orc Swordsman by just another DM on Thingiverse. It's a free file, and then I posted one of my favorite figures I ever found on Instagram is a cat mage. It's like a cat, evil wizard. I'll post, that's also a free download file that someone presented. I forgot the guy's name, but I'll have links to both of them in the notes of the show. But let's get this bad boy, let's get the lid off this thing, and see how these guys turned out. Like I said, I've done verification cards. I got it dialed in. I haven't had any failed prints when we were doing the verification cards. And I'll also post a link to the settings. I'll do a screenshot and maybe even try and put it in the video of the settings that I used on I used Litchi Slicer for this. So I'll put a little grab of the Litchi Slicer settings for the resin in the printer, and I'll maybe even try and link to the file that I have set up with these supports if this comes out good at all. We don't know because I haven't seen it yet. Let's crack open. First off, gloves. These are my favorite reusable nitro gloves that I got off Amazon. I like to use the disposable nitro gloves too for other stuff because they're thinner, but for doing stuff like this, I like to have reusable ones because I feel like it's less wasteful, and I'm not doing anything super delicate where I need amazing, where I need amazing things. I'm just tearing out some paper towels, so we'll have them because we're gonna need them in a minute. Let's do this. Actually, these are the kind of paper towels that you can break in half, and then break in half a second time. Oh yeah. Bounty paper towels. I highly recommend, if you're using paper towels for 3D printing, don't get the cheapest ones from the dollar store. Get some nice paper towels. You don't have to use a ton of them. The nicer they are, the less you have to use. These are like Bounty ones, which is kind of fancy. They're kind of like the Rolls Royce Escalade of paper towels, but these are the Bounty that they not only they tear in half, but they tear in this way. This is like the perfect size for a lot of things you're going to do when you're 3D resin printing, so you won't waste that much. As many paper towels. And also I have a dedicated trash can here. That's not a garage trash can, that's a trash can I made just for the 3D printed stuff. You'll see me throw a lot of stuff in there. Please know anything that's contaminated with resin, before I throw that trash away, it builds up every week. I empty it out. I'll either empty it out in our garage doors right behind me, it opens in the sun, and let the stuff dry out and flip it, or I'll get the stuff and I'll tape the UV flashlight up over it, and I'll cure the stuff before I throw it away. I'm just throwing that in the landfill because I'm not a monster. Yeah, so without further ado, gloves are on. Let's take this build plate off. First off, I gotta say I really like the build plate so far on this the Sonic Mighty 4K, and for many reasons. I love that it's a separate piece, that the screw stays here and just this piece comes off. And I also like that the build plate, like I had an Elegant Mars Pro and a Pro 2, and a lot of times the build plates, like that cylinder that sticks out, and you'll be you'll kind of want to sometimes be tempted to hold that when you're trying to take things off supports, and then you'll unlevel your bed. This is great because if you had to do that, if you want to brace yourself, you can grab down here on this silver part. This is the only part that's like the brace, that the 4 screws that keep the plate level in. You could put fingers here. We're not going to, because instead, what I like to do is I just wipe down the edges of this, and I'm gonna hold the actual edges of the plate as I take these off. Oh, the reason you want to use good paper towels is like, see this? This is a brand new build plate, and it's a little bit sharp. I'm gonna sand it again on the outside edges, but I used a cheap paper towel on one of the first runs that I did, just for a verification thing, card, and it shredded the paper towel, and I got paper towel in my vat, and I had to clean the vat out. So better paper towels, a little bit better quality. They're not gonna fall apart as much. So do that if you can. Look at this. This build plate is gorgeous. This plate right here is the exact reason why I upgraded from having the Elegoo Mars Pro 2 to the Sonic Mighty 4K. I thought Elegoo makes great products. I would have bought an Elegoo Saturn, which is the bigger build plate model they have, but they're just sold out, and they're too people are scalping them on Amazon and eBay for like $800 and more sometimes. I ordered the Sonic back in like the first week of November, and it just arrived in California. You know, like the first or second week in February. So it took a long time to arrive, but well worth it. But this build plate is why I got this. Look at this thing. I've got 6 Orc Swordsmen, 3 more Orc Swordsmen, and then 6 Cat Mages. We got 15 pieces on this plate. Normally with the Mars Pro 2, I could load up maybe 8 minifigures on a plate, like, you know, regular size, you know, 28 or 32 millimeter minifigures on a plate, but never, like, maybe 9 if I really jimmied around. But this is 15 pieces sitting comfortably. Like, I could have crammed in, I could get at least 12, maybe, 12 of these guys easily pushed together, plus some extra ones. You could probably print, I don't know, at least 15 on here, maybe 18, you know. But I got this because when I find a mini I like to just do one batch and make a bunch of them, whether I'm army building like I am here with the orcs or the cat mages, because I like the figure, because I like to make these things and I like to give them away to friends, you know, or people that I know that either like the figures or like gaming or just like cool stuff, like to put on their desk or whatever. And yeah, people don't even know about 3D printers, so if you give them something, you're like, oh, I made this myself, and you let them know like an artist made the file, and then you just print it out. You just did, like, you know, the monkey work. You're not unless you made the file and you're like some gifted artist. Good job for you. My point is, I like to make a batch. My kid likes to paint miniatures. I like to paint miniatures, but I like to make enough that I can build an army of, like, you know, a group of them of 4 or 6 that I have painted well. I give my kid another, you know, few to paint if he messes them up and it doesn't make our table look wonky, or it's on his side of the gaming table. I like my figures look good. And my son's 7. He's getting better at painting, but still sometimes he just splashes red on them and goes, they're bloody, and he gives up on painting, which is kind of hilarious and kind of a genius move, really. My point is, I like making these a lot, and on this channel and on my Instagram account for the 3D printing minis, I'm going to be giving away some orcs this month, and I think I'm also going to give away cat mages too, because cat mages is my favorite. They look really cool painted up, and these orc figures are great too. But yeah, the links to both these files will be in the show notes, so you can get those, and I'll try and see if I can link up the actual Litchi file. I don't know if they're because it all lives in the cloud. I don't know if they're shareable, but I did export it to my desktop. I'll put it in there and see if it works, and you can see the supports that I use. But we haven't taken anything off yet, so we don't know if it's going to work. So now, again, I made other videos about taking things off the plate, and I went right up the edge. If you'll notice, I want to make sure all the edges printed well. My technique is, like, let's say this is 0 degrees. I like to hold the spatula at a 45 degree angle, like to the plate, like right here, 45 degrees, and then I lift it up this way towards you. I lift it up at a 45 degree angle, and then you don't use, and you can see me huff and puff on video sometimes, but I'm kind of like usually exaggerating. I push firm, but not like hard, and I like to just wiggle. I didn't add the little, you can add the little like bent up foot on the bases, on these supports. I forgot to do that. Chitu Box does it inherently. The Chitu Box slicer like just puts it in automatically. There's a way to set it up on Litchi Slicer. I just haven't been using Litchi Slicer for a few weeks because I've been waiting to get my new printer. So I haven't printed any new files. I've been printing old files. But yeah, there's a way to do that. But even when they're not, these are nice. You just put, like I said, I'm just wiggling it 45, and you can change those angles. You can wiggle it top to bottom, side to side, just to get a foothold and get it started. And once it's started, you wiggle it again. Look at this though. The reason we use, you're probably like, oh, why don't you just use Ceratec Fast Grade, and it's only 40 bucks a kilogram. It's cheaper, and adding that 15% of Tenacious. Tenacious is like 60, 70, 80 bucks a bottle. The reason we do that is because look, the figure fell on the ground, landed, you know, just saw it land head and sword first. It's still intact. That's why we do that. Because the Tenacious, that little, like, you know, 15% or so, give or take, of Tenacious just makes the figure a little more, it's not cured yet, but it makes it a little bit more, not bendy, but it just gives it a little bit of give, but also makes it stronger. Right there. That is exactly why we use Tenacious. And this is just the mean green. This is the first wash that I do. We drop these in a vat of mean green. See if they're all gonna fit. We have so many. See if I can get these guys off without flinging them into the street again. Jeez Louise. What's wrong with me? I probably am going to fast forward this portion of the video if this takes longer than I think. Maybe it won't. But I picked a bad camera angle for a video earlier in the week. I was joking about my appendages and armpit being in, excuse me, being in the video. But that was the most embarrassing video of the week. My wife earlier today was on a Zoom call at work from home, and the lady's husband was doing crunches in the background of her work Zoom call, which I thought was hilarious. So I'm gonna probably go tomorrow. My wife is doing work stuff, and do some shirtless karate in the background and let her co-workers know that she is married to a real stud and a full-on karate man, which I am. Neither of those things, but it just think it'd be funny. I'm not really going to do that because I'm not a dick. But I thought the guy doing crunches was pretty hilarious. Anyway, look, these are coming off real easy. Oh, man. I did sand this build plate. Ow, as I mentioned in another video, this is the edge. You always have to be careful. You want to push more 0 degrees than 45 because I almost poked myself, but not through the glove, thank God. These gloves aren't that expensive, but still. Also, I'll put links, Amazon links, for these gloves in the description because I really like these gloves. I've been using them for a few weeks. Because like I said, I wasn't printing new files, but I've been printing a ton. Before I swapped out printers, I was printing a ton of all the original files that we had. Some for my kids, some for my kids' friends, and other people, and just for myself. Before we got the new printer, because I was really worried, you know, that we were going to get the printer and get rid of the old printer, and then it wasn't going to work, and I was going to be stuck. So I printed up a bunch. There's a bunch of, geez, some's not even based, and some's not even painted or primed for painting, up on our shelf in my office because I wanted to have enough stuff to print in case the printer came DOA out of the box, but it didn't. It came great. What I just did there, yeah, this thing has worked, knock on wood or masonite, this thing has worked flawlessly out of the box. But what I just did there is I scraped the plate where the pieces were, then I wiped down the plate, I put it back on. This is good to go. This is, let me see, my fingers are all gross. I'll squish up the thing. This thing's ready to print again. This has, and the vat's plenty full. I filled the vat up a bunch. It's got a big vat. Minifigures, if you're doing miniatures, like, you know, figures 28, 32 millimeter, you can print a bunch. You're not gonna use that much resin. If you're printing like dragons or griffins or, you know, larger pieces, you're gonna eat up a lot of resin real quick. So you wanna keep an eye on it, keep it topped off. But I know I'm gonna do at least 1 or 2 more runs in minis, so I'm not worried about topping it off. Also, that's another reason we got the Sonic, because I want that big plate. I want to print some dragons. We've been doing dragons on FDM, but I want to print some dragons, even the modular ones, or a Tarask, and really give them a go. So that's why that. So that's why we upgraded the printer. Also, the printer was just awesome, and I've been looking forward to getting it. And I'm so happy with it. This has got a little bit. See, look at this terrible towel. Don't want to waste it. It's got a little bit of resin on it. I'm gonna take the first resin off so I don't totally contaminate my mean green. Spin around here. Now look, I got a completely clean and ready for next time spatula. Now let's see if 15 guys, I don't think I've ever put 15 guys in one vat of mean green at a time. And this is, I've made videos showing my workflow, same workflows in the videos. First I take them off the plate. Step 1 is I put my miniatures in a pickle jar of just regular room temperature mean green. I reuse the same mean green over and over. I actually, because it's a new printer, I actually cleaned out my Ultrasonic Cleaner and my tanks. I swapped in new mean green in my Ultrasonic Cleaner and new water in the final step thing. But I'll use this stuff, you'll see it in this video and in later videos after this. This stuff will get murkier, but this stuff works. Like the last batch we used, I did 3 months and it got a little bit murky, but it still worked. It worked just as good. I just figured might as well change it because we change everything this week. Yeah, you just put it in here, and then like I usually swish it off camera, or not off camera, but over here, away from my thing. But since it's not leaking, this is what I do. Do circles for like 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I'm kind of doing a shorter version here because I'm making a video for you guys. Then again, away from the thing, I'll shake it up and down. And this is where having that tenacious really helps. If you have small things like, we have like an Acerarak, like a Lich, or an Illithid, like a Mind Flayer, or Dracula's like a Strahd or a Vampire. You want to be careful in this step because you don't want to shake this too much, because a lot of those creatures with little thin fingers, like ghouls, will break off. So you want to be a little bit more gingerly. But I've printed tons of these mage and these orcs before. I know they're pretty robust figures, so I feel like I can really lay into them and agitate them, you know, and shake them up. I know nothing bad's going to happen. But see, there's a couple drops of mean green that's falling on the table. So that's why I said you probably want to do it away from your expensive printer and camera. But yeah, I only do this for like 30 seconds. You know, a lot of time I'll drop them in as I go, so they've been sitting for 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how long it takes. But this is step one, just room temperature mean green, just to get the initial gunk off. That's why this mean green's over, you know, in the course of a week will get gunkier and gunkier. It's fine. 3 months worth of gunkiness on this and doing like almost, you know, daily or every day prints, you know, a print a day for, you know, let's say a batch of minifigures a day, or even 2. This mean green will last like this for like 2 or 3 months. Okay, step 1's done. Now for step 2, we're gonna go down below where I keep my ultrasonic cleaner. This is a 6 liter ultrasonic cleaner. This is filled with mean green. It's mean green, just pure mean green, heated to 50 degrees Celsius, which is about, I believe, like 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's set for 5 minutes to agitate. And all I'm gonna do is take my little bucket, and I'm gonna keep the bucket down here because I'm gonna use it afterwards, you'll see. And I'm just gonna put these in. These pickle jars are great because look at this, it's got a little handle. Shake off any extra gunk, you know, so hopefully the gunk is going down and sitting in there and not filling up my vat. But again, my vat I ran for, you know, at least 2 months daily, and I cleaned up the stuff. And the mean green that I cleaned out today wasn't even that bad or that funky. I didn't make a video of it because it's kind of an uncompelling thing to video. But yeah, that's it. So I put that in there, just in the center. Hit go. Pull it on. And then you will just sit here and watch 5 minutes of this. No, we'll come right back after this is done. All right, my friends, 5 minutes has elapsed of these guys soaking in their mean green bath. We're gonna take these guys out of the mean green, but we're not gonna put them back in the room temperature mean green because I would like them to be as close to the temperature they are here, 50 degrees Celsius, as they can be, because it helps take the supports off, which you will see in a minute. Do this real quick. I'll swish them back and forth to make sure anything that's resting in here stays in this here, because this is a lot of mean green, so it takes, like I said, it's better to have it the resin wash off in there than in the next step. So nice and warm. All right, I'm gonna put this back. We're done with that mean green now. So that's step 1. This was step 2. Got these guys up here. Let's do step 3. Okay, step 3. Time is of the essence, sort of, but it's not really that doesn't matter that much. It's just the reason I say that is you want these guys warm because it makes the supports come off so much easier. So I've done these guys a billion times before. These are actually a different support setup than the last one, so I had to make a new file. But look at this, with the heated to 50 degrees Celsius. Look, I'm just these are medium supports on Litchi Slicer, and some are a couple of 2 or 3 deep on like the arms and back and the shield, and you just pinch them and they come right off. It's so awesome. It's the best thing in the world. From going from room temperature supports that I was using the blue nippers to nip every single support off every time I did a figure, to this. And sometimes if there's support in a delicate place, or or a more delicate figure, yeah, you're gonna have to use a little bit of more finesse. But look at that figure. And this, oh man, sorry, I'm just excited. This is the first time seeing these things. Dude, these came out awesome. Oh, even the detail in the back of the arm with the 2 straps. There's a strap there and there holding the pad on. The last batch I made were a little bit funky on my other printer, but these look terrific. And if you saw my previous videos on this printer, I put a screen protector on. I used a matte like non-glossy, non-shiny iPad protector, and I have a video of how to install it on my channel. But people are like, oh, the matte's going to cause a denigration of light coming through, and it's going to make your prints turn out not well. And I'm just, dude, we haven't even scrubbed these guys yet, and this guy looks killer. I'm so stoked. All right, so that's one. I can quit talking and take these supports off before these guys cool down. But look, I'm just I'm just pinching. And I've printed this figure a bunch, so I know there's no real delicate pieces on it. If there were delicate pieces, you would want to come in, you know, and do it much slower and much more gently, and use some nippers to get the harder ones to get. But no, we're good. This is cake. This is so great. I'm so stoked on these. And I'm stoked that these are coming out because the sooner I get prints done and cooking, part of this channel, part of my, you know, my YouTube, Instagram, and all the other social channels, is I want to give figures away to people. I want to print these guys out, print some up for me and, you know, my son and my friends and stuff, but I also want to print them for you and do like giveaways on my channel where, like, you know, I don't know, I'm not like, you know, I'm not rich. I don't have like, you can't give away money or whatever, but I definitely would like to run a monthly or even, you know, twice a month, even more often. I was giveaway of just giving people away that like are enthusiasts of this stuff. Maybe you don't have a 3D printer and you're just watching this video because you're interested in maybe get one someday, or you don't have room to put one, or you have an FDM printer but you can't get a resin printer because you print indoors in, like, you know, your room or your house and it's too smelly. I would love to print some of these figures up that I enjoy so much and that are so much fun to paint as well. And I'm a terrible painter, but God, they're still so much fun to paint. I would love to start giving these away to people on the internet to help, you know, just get people stoked on 3D miniatures, because I think it's so much more fun. The reason, you know, like everybody else, you know, me and my son started playing D&D. He's 7.5, but during the pandemic, you know, we were at home a lot, and my son was in like first grade and he was having problems reading. My son's very bright and sassy sometimes. No, he's a really sweet kid, but he was having problems reading. He was in a special reading class before the pandemic hit because he just wasn't paying attention in class. And I tricked him to get into reading by showing him Dungeons and Dragons and showing him a monster manual, and he wanted to know about it, but, you know, he's only a first grader at the time. And then second grade came, or yeah, it's first half of second grade. No, it's last year. It's first grade. Sorry, time flies when you've been at home for a year, right? It was, you know, is first grade. So second half of first grade, pandemic hits, and I get him into D&D and excited about it. And then I got those D&D kids books, and and he couldn't read them because they're like, you know, they're probably like fifth grade level. And then he really wanted to know about D&D. So lo and behold, he worked on his reading. And now, halfway through second grade, my kid he's in a class of 20 kids, and he is one of the best readers in his class, whether he's reading out loud or reading on his own or reading for comprehension. And I could not be prouder of him. And it was because of the dark arts of tricking my son into being interested in Dungeons and Dragons with all its demons and stuff like that, which is hilarious because he goes to Christian school, and sometimes they have art projects where they have to draw like God, you know, and sometimes Satan or demons. And I'll tell you this, when my kid draws a demon, his demons are goddamn on point. They are fucking straight out of a God, R.A. Salvatore, you know, Driz novel. So that's sometimes a problem where, you know, he can draw a good Jesus too, or soldier, but I mean, I guess, yeah, his demons are terrifying and super awesome and very well armed. He also can draw, his favorite guys he likes Beholders, Dragonborn, and what's the other guy he's always, Basilisk. So he can draw those like nobody's business. So his poor teachers, and he makes the kids at recess play Hook Horror, where it's a, you know, like the Underdark Beast, so like it's like a beetle with a vulture chicken head and claws. He'll make the kids chase and play that, and they don't even know what the hell the thing is. I find it very funny. But if your kids having problems reading, trick them into liking reading by getting them into Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, anyway, we got a 3D printer because we were starting to go to the hobby store or buy, you know, the pandemic hit, and I guess the pandemic did hit, and then the hobby stores were not open, so we started buying minifigures online. And everyone thinks, I'll get them, dude, these things are $2 or $3 a piece for minifigures, you know, at the store, or more, depending on where you live. I'll get a 3D printer, I'll make these all for free. Nah, that's not the case, you know, because you get addicted to 3D printing, and then you're buying a printer, and then a second printer, and then getting a new printer, and then, you know, you're giving these things away and everything else. So it's not a money-making racket, but oh, it is such a fun thing to do. All right, so I've taken on, so that's why I would like to share these guys with you guys watching this and give these things away to you and just get more people interested in stuff, because I think it is very, very fun and very good for you, and very not cathartic's not the word, but it's a nice, soothing, weird thing. And yes, it can get expensive and, you know, very frustrating at times as well too sometimes, but it's a cool thing, and it's a non-harmful thing that you can do besides the fumes, you know, and going bankrupt. It's a non-harmful thing that you can do with your free time, whether you're cooped up at home or not. Let's all pray that this stupid, whatever god or gods you believe in, or luck or fate or math or science, that the COVID thing wraps up soon, and there's not a COVID 21 or 22 coming around the bend. All right, so this is step 3. Step 1 is room temperatures, shake and bake, shaking in mean green. Step 2 is 5 minutes at 50 degrees Celsius, ultrasonic cleaner. Step 3 is, this is 99% IPA, rubbing alcohol. I put it in the squirt bottle that I got on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description if you ever want to build your own little version of this. Again, a bunch of squirts. I used to say 2 to 3 squirts per side, but I'm pretty generous. I use very little of this IPA. And the reason I do it is because I don't want to run a heated vat below me in an ultrasonic cleaner of IPA. There's also an ultrasonic cleaner technique where instead of mean green or degreaser, you can put water in there, and then you fill a Ziploc bag with IPA or denatured alcohol, and then you put the bag in the water so it's less flammable. I don't want to mess with that. I think the mean green heated. When I first got the ultrasonic cleaner, I was running unheated. Unheated sucks and doesn't work very well, and I thought the ultrasonic thing was broke, or it wasn't working well, or the mean green was terrible. No, if you heat that mean green up and you run it for 5 minutes, oh boy, it cleans these things real well. And then the double whammy is come in here with the IPA and just get a very soft toothbrush. It's just a toothbrush from the dollar store. It doesn't have to be a fancy toothbrush or a Sonic or anything like that. And you just hit them. I hit them like anywhere flat, like on the skirts here, any big wide flat places you want to hit, because those get shiny, and then nooks and crannies, of course. And again, if you're more delicate figures, you gotta be a little bit softer. But this, like with that 15% tenacious in there, oh boy, this is good to go. This is nice stuff right here. So shine him up. All right, so this guy is done. We're gonna drop him in the water because we're rinse all these off in water. And then we go and then we'll dry them. So let's do this. Let me clean these things off real quick. All right, that is it. Those guys are all cleaned up. I'll put them in. They've been sitting in the water. Same thing with the water. Some have been sitting in here for a few minutes because obviously we fast forwarded a lot of that. But let me shake this away from the table. But we're just gonna swirl them up and down for about 30 seconds, and then we should be good to go. I know it probably seems weird sometimes when I shake it off camera, but sometimes these things get water in the edges and they leak, and you shake them and it flings water or goopy mean green and everything. So you don't want them. So again, circles this way, circles that way, circles this way. Like I said, these are pretty robust. You can give them the old up and down, upside, get crazy with it. Like the movie Cocktail. You're very old like me. Flip them around behind your back. But that's it. We're just washing off. These things have been cleaned. We're just washing off what any residue might be on there. And then the final step is, people say to do different things. Oh, let them dry for 20 minutes or this or that. I let them dry overnight. Like if I'm doing this at night, I put them away, and then I'll cure them the following night. There's no reason to you spend all this time getting the files, cutting the files, slicing the files, put them in your printer, having a printer, printing. You saw the scrubbing and cleaning, all the apparatus that go on to this. You can wait an extra like half a day, to not rush into cleaning your prints, to make sure that they're all the way dry so they don't warp. The reason you want them dry is because if they're wet, they do weird things if you cure them. Sometimes they'll crack or they'll warp or whatever. There's a billion reasons for it. There's a ton of videos explaining it more better than I am online. Just saying, let them dry 12 to 24 hours in a dry place. You'll have a lot better results. Because when I first got these things, I would dry them off with a paper towel and sit for like 20 minutes and then go dry them, and then I'd have like warped and bent and sad guys. You can towel dry these guys, but you don't really have to. This is just we talked about this before. This is a Tupperware that I got my primer paint, gray spray paint, basically Rust-Oleum from Home Depot or Lowe's. I spray painted the inside to make it like mostly, light tight, if not UV light tight for sure. And then I put a paper towel or shop towel down, and I just want to arrange these guys to where they're not touching, so they don't get goofy or weird. And there's a lot of them, so today I think, you know what I'll do? We'll do double duty. I've got 2 of these, got backup, so we'll put some of these guys here, and I like to orient them overnight. Like if they have nooks and crannies like this guy, I put them face down so that the water runs out onto the paper towel, not just pools and sits there, if you can. And if you're really anal, you can flip them over, an hour or 2 in. It's really not that big of a deal. I just, if you want to just extra little peace of mind. But yeah, it's to each their own, whatever your flavor is. So I've got these guys all face down, not touching, and then these guys, same thing, face down, not touching. Hold on, let me fix this. Do this very quickly. Get down there, work. Swordsman. If you have any favorite figures, either from a Patreon or a brand or a store or a designer that you like, leave a comment. Let me know, and I'll try and get some. I'll try and print some out so you can see them printed out. But that's these guys. And then what I do, like I said, I always I just put the lids on a jar, like kind of askew like this. So it's like there's a little pathway. It blocks most of the light out. I'm not too worried about the light in my office. It's pretty dark, but then air can flow through. And like I'm going to take these and put them inside of my in my office, inside our house, which is pretty dry and warm. And then we'll come back later and we will cure them and see how they turned out. Okay, it has been 24 hours or thereabouts, at least 18, and these have been drying inside. These are our minis that we've made. Oh man, the detail on these things are sick. These things look great. Now all we have to do, we're gonna collect them in one bin right now. You can wear gloves when you do this. I'm just gingerly doing this very quick for a video, but a lot of times usually when I'm touching any of the resin that's uncured, I'm usually always wearing gloves, but sometimes in the videos I'm not, so I don't think that I'm very cavalier or being macho or brave. It's just sometimes for the sake of video, if we're starting to stop at the camera, everything. But yeah, usually you should be wearing gloves when you touch these things so you don't kill yourself. But that being said, let's go down here to our curing station. This is the Frozen Luna cure. I got this in the bundle with the Sonic Mighty 4K up here. And I gotta say, I had the Illigu, the black tube Illigu one before. And this is definitely an upgrade, because before the Illigu I could put 3 or 4 minis at a time on their max. With this bad boy, I can put just, I don't want to say unlimited, but I can put a lot. I'm doing this with one hand while making a video, but you can see I'm placing these on the plate for curing, and I'm just getting, without even like really having to jimmy them around or anything and giving them good spacing, I'm getting a ton of these guys on this plate. Before, like I said, 3 or 4 minis was my limit, and bigger minis, like if I printed a dragon or something like that, it'd be really hard to get it to fit, and then to fit and still be able to spin. With these guys, this is 13, 14, so that's 14. I got one last guy, unless I haven't arranged these guys very much at all. If I shift these guys around a little bit, I feel that I can get them all. Oops, this guy's sword's a little bit. Let's bend that the other way for the curing. There we go. I can get them all in there. So that's 15 minis right there, guys. Let's put this down. Put the lid on. Yeah, this thing's really cool. It will not work unless you have the lid on it, which makes it safe. I like to cure my minis for like 90 seconds to 2 minutes aside. And I usually do them aside because I usually print most of my minis unbased. So it's set for 2 minutes. We'll just turn it on. See, it lights up. And then we'll wait 2 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll flip them over. All right, 2 minutes is up. So let's take this lid off. God, this thing, I still can't get over how huge this thing is. So it's been 2 minutes on this side. All I'm gonna do is flip these guys over. My dog is moaning in the background. She's tied up so she doesn't run around and get me shot in this video. Hold on, let me do this. I sit down on the ground. But yeah, some people talked about online in the comments on YouTube and Facebook. I've had some discussions with people about, I did a video of a tour of my printing setup, and people were like, oh, they have really small places they can work in, only in like, you know, their basement or a spare bedroom or, you know, their garage or a shed. And that's why getting this kitchen, this metal, you know, food prep table was great, because it has this layer underneath with a real high ceiling. And I think putting my curing station and putting my ultrasonic cleaner underneath was such a good idea, because it saves so much space. The ultrasonic cleaner is close to the floor. That way if it leaks, it'll just go onto our floor and won't run down off my table and wreck my printer as well. But yeah, even the curing station is the curing station is something you need, but it doesn't need to be up somewhere high. It can be down somewhere low, like here, because it's out of the way, but it's always accessible. But yeah, this Luna was a definite upgrade from the Illigo, you know, the black tube one I was using before. I mean, there's 15 guys in that plate, no problem. This is great. All right, our second 2 minutes is up. Time has elapsed on that. Get this lid off. Gotta get these guys up. All right, these guys are, oh yeah, they're all cured. Yeah, you can feel them, and they're very robust, because that 15% of tenacious really makes these guys, it makes me a lot more comfortable handling them than painting them, putting the effort into paint them, because I don't feel like I'm gonna paint something and it's gonna break right away and then my soul will be crushed. So all that time and effort will be for naught. That's that way. Close her up. All right, let's go up here real quick. So these are the guys. They are all painted. I did, like I said, 9 orc swordsmen and 6 cat mages, basically. Yeah. So the detail on these things, you can look, is just great. This is just as good as the detail that I was. Dog's yawning. The detail that I was getting with my Mars Pro 2, which is a 2K printer. This is from the Phrozen Sonic Mini, or sorry, Sonic Mighty 4K, our larger format printer. But yeah, the detail of these is great, and you can see the cleaning technique I think works really well. The mean green, mean green to hot mean green to like a little bit of IPA. I couldn't figure out a way when I started doing resin printing to like use high quantities of IPA in a way that I felt was safe to use. Like, that's why I don't put them inside my vat, inside my ultrasonic cleaner. I don't have a big vat of them sitting around. I like just a little simple spray bottle at the end, because I feel like the first dip and shake in the room temperature mean green washes off clumps. The 5 minutes ultrasonic really gets in there and cleans stuff, and then the extra cleaning just gets in the nook and cranny. See how there's no shiny spots on this guy, really? And a lot of times you don't clean them well. Like I said, you get shiny spots here on like the large pieces of cloth. You get them here like in the armpits and the neck. These came out really good. Like this guy, I didn't hit the neck that good. There's a little bit of shiny there. But the thing is, I paint these guys, so I'm going to prime them and paint them anyway. One other thing I want to warn against is I set this guy down, and I saw it last night, and I didn't do anything about it. I set him down on his sword while he was wet and while he was overnight. So when I cured him, his sword's a little bit bent. It's not the end of the world, but these things they're not like the Nolzur's, figures that you'll buy that you can put in hot water or blow dry to fix. So you do want to be a little bit careful if you got stuff that's dry and bent. You might want to bend it out a little bit overnight to make it a little bit straight and then cure it. But besides that, I mean, these things are just awesome. The cat mages just came out killer. There's just tons of detail in these little guys. But yeah, I just made 15 figures, and I mentioned before, I mean, everybody thinks when you're getting a 3D printer, like, oh, I'm gonna get 3D, whether it's FDM or resin, I'm gonna get a 3D printer because I'm gonna save so much money on minis, man. And that, whether it's FDM or resin printing, both 3D printing is expensive. There's a lot of time and effort as well, incalculable expense of your time and effort to get it dialed in. But once you do, you're not going to make any money or get rich, probably, unless you have like a print farm. And then if you do, that's awesome. But like, 15 guys, and these are just as good quality as the one that I buy at a hobby store, I feel, especially these orcs. So let's say like, a 2-pack is like $4 here, and $4 to $5. Lucy, enough. Sorry, dogs getting grouchy. $4 or $5 for a 2-pack. Let's say $4. So $2 a figure. $2 a figure times 15 is $30 worth of figures here right now. And it took me, honestly, you've seen the video. 5 or 10 minutes to set up, 5 or 10 here and there, and then 5 or 10 minutes to clean them. Like, a half hour's work total probably to get $30 worth of figures. And in future videos, when I print bigger guys, the miniatures are fun because the small to medium-sized characters. But where I really think you get bang for your buck in printing tabletop miniatures, especially D&D for yourself on a 3D printer, is in medium-sized creatures. Like when you print trolls or hook horrors, dragons, medium, large size, that's when you really, because I'll do a video. I'll make some hook horrors and some ankegs. Those figures are usually like $6 to $8, $9 a piece, and they come individually. You can make a plate, especially with like a Sonic, with the Mighty 4K. I could probably make 4 or 5 hook horrors or ankegs, like, you know, good size ones at a time on this thing, and those things are like $8 a piece. So it really starts to rack up. Then I feel like you're really getting a bang for your buck, and you're also getting to make figures that, like, normally it wouldn't make sense. You're not going to buy like 5, you know, hook horrors, but if you read them, you know, at a store, it's like $40-50 with tax. And if you read the 5e monster manual, hook horrors are supposed to attack in groups in a clan, so it's harder to army build with more expensive figures. With a 3D printer, once you get it dialed in and you find models that you like, you can actually army build bigger figures, and it's more cost effective, I feel. And again, this Tenacious, this is on, look at these things, you can drop them all day long. The swords, they're not bendable, it just has a little bit of give, and it's just that extra 15% and extra money spent on the higher quality resin. I highly recommend. A little bit of Tenacious added to your regular gray or whatever resin you use goes a long way. And you know, no, he fell to the floor. Hold on, rescue mission. Oh no, where'd he go? I have to pick him up or else my dog will eat him. Look at that, the guy fell on the floor and under a table, kind of like the guy in Lego Movie 2 does, and he's completely no problems. Nope. Maybe he has some dog hair on him. Besides that, anyway, that's been this batch of these guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like the show, or you like these videos, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and, you know, share them with your friends.